Hello, lovelies. I thought you deserved to kind of know what I spent all your money on when you helped me with updating my computer, and I want to thank you all again for your help and assistance. It will also mean that I won't need to ask for your help and assistance with one of my cat's veterinary issues. My older cat needs his teeth seen to, which will be about £500, possibly less, possibly more. But thanks to you helping out before, I can cover that. Basically, what happened was quite a few years back now, he disappeared for ages, and when he came back there were some cuts on him and he'd broken off the tips of a few of his teeth. So it looks like he got caught up in something and had to kind of chew his way out and damaged his teeth. At the time we took him to the vet, no issue. But it seems to have made him more vulnerable, more susceptible to tooth issues. So we're going to have to take him in. He's going to have to go under anaesthetic, which I'm not happy about. Have his teeth seen to. Hopefully he'll be okay. But anyway, that's beside the point. But you've indirectly, inadvertently helped with that too. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Maybe in the cockles, maybe in the subcockle area. I don't know. But yes, my cockles are warmed. Now, what I spent your money on computer-wise, and a bit of my own money. So, I got a Fanatic Rush LED backlit mechanical pro gaming keyboard. Now, I learned originally to type on a mechanical typewriter, because I'm very old. And then when it came to computers, I was learning on Rubber Key Spectrum, then the Amstrad Spectrum clone, BBC Micro, Acorn Electron, C64, all of those kind of things, which all had big clunky mechanical keyboards. And I'm quite hard on keyboards. My old ergonomic keyboard, I've worn all the letters off pretty much, and while I can touch type, occasionally when you make a mistake you want to look down, get a reference point, and when you can't see what any of the keys are supposed to be, but that's tricky. So I paid out for a gaming keyboard with mechanical switches, and if you want to get keyboards with mechanical switches, that seems to be where you need to go. It's kind of like riding a bike, getting back into typing, but it's, as you can hopefully hear, it's very clunky, very lovely, and properly mechanical sounding. So yeah, if you want those kind of keyboards, go there. It cost me about 60 quid. With the offer and discounts I got, which is a lot for a keyboard. It's quite painful, but I figured it was worth an investment since I do use my keyboard so much for writing and so on. I'll put specs and stuff, you know, to one side here, so if you're that interested in the technical side of everything and what specifically I bought, you can go and look it up. We've got the case we got is a Fractal Design high airflow compact Meshify case. It's very sleek, it's very black, it's very small, it's quite light, aluminium, or aluminum, for the Americans out there, aluminum. But what's great about it is it's mesh, and a lot of the mesh is very easily removable, or it's magnetic, so, you know, computers down there on the floor, they get dusty, they get clogged, pet hair gets in them and so on. Because this is just magnetic, you can lift it off, clean it up, put it back, and hopefully nothing will have got through to the fans and so on. But it runs a lot cooler, and as a consequence it's a lot quieter. That's also fans that are quieter. So all things considered, there should be less background noise and interference, which is good for the video setup, which I'm still tweaking. So if you see anything that looks bad or wrong, or you think this camera angle's wrong, needs to go down, needs to go up, whatever. I'm told that having it higher than your eye level, but then not looking directly into the camera, is supposed to make you look better. I don't know. Anyway, let me know. I'm going to revise things. It's just having to move everything meant that my old comfortable setup had to move as well. Graphics wise, got an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti-SC. Only 4GB. But fast memory and fast graphical processing. I would have liked to have gone up a bit, but it's very much diminishing returns. when it comes to graphics cards. And the games that I've run it on so far all seem to run smooth as butter with no problem on pretty much maximum settings. So clearly there's nothing wrong with that. The motherboard was an Asus Strix B450F. It's a motherboard. It has lots of USB plugs, which is the main thing because I have a shitload of stuff that runs off USB, and that all seems to be fine. One thing I would warn you off is the Gigabyte Aorus ATC 700 air cooler for the CPU. It does the job. It's quiet, it has shiny pretty lights, though we can't see them because it's in the case, on the floor, out the way, but it's huge. And it's not just huge away from the motherboard, it is huge at the motherboard, and as a consequence of that it gets in the way of everything and putting in all your components, and it's really fiddly and a son of a bitch. Half the day putting this computer together was spent just getting the processor and the cooler in because it's such a fuck. And as a result of the cooler being in a really awkward place and at a really awkward size, I couldn't put all the memory that I paid for in. So I'm running on 24 gigabytes of memory instead of 32, but again, that doesn't seem to have been a particular issue, but I would like to have been able to use everything that I paid for, and the fucking cooler won't let me, so don't buy that one. Ugh. We've got solid state Samsung drives, 0.5 terabyte for running just the OS off, which seems to work really well. It's really fast, especially on startup. Trying to keep as much as possible off that drive, so it's only got the OS and anything that won't let me install it anywhere else on there, and I'm trying to keep the various caches and download folders and stuff empty and be a bit more clean about the way I use my computers. So I upgraded to Windows 10 so I can use more software now, because I was using 7 before, so that's a bit of a leap. But yeah, solid state, I think it's definitely worth it for having your operating system on for all of those reasons, the speed and everything, but it is still expensive compared to other drive options, which have gone down massively in price. So, you know, there's no reason you can't have multi-terabyte drives. I mean, I had a 1 terabyte drive in the old computer, basically just swapped that across and wiped the OS off it, which was difficult, but done. So I got plenty of space from that. I think these days, though, really you probably need something more like 2 terabytes, but with various cloud storage and shifting the OS onto a solid state drive, everything runs pretty smooth, really. Ended up with 2 monitors for a dual monitor setup. Now they're LG. I've always been kind of wary of LG because back in the day they made shit, right? Back when people still used fax machines, a friend of mine used to work doing technical support for fax machines. I believe he once serviced Stanley Kubrick's fax machine, so that takes you back. But at the time, LG were shit, and they were notoriously shit, and any time that they heard, oh, you've got an LG fax machine, you know, their heart would drop. And while all their stuff was very cheap, it was shit. But kind of like the way Skoda used to be shit, but since they've been bought out by VW, now their cars, you can't really tell that much difference at the low end. So LG now puts out pretty good stuff, but still at kind of lower price levels. And they seem really good to me. It's taken a bit of getting used to working with 2 monitors. I'm still very much fixating on a single monitor most of the time, but it is useful for video editing. I've just, you know, fucked around a little. I haven't really done anything, but I've been practicing, and it is useful to have all your sources and files on one window and on one monitor, and then your timeline for working in the other. So that works well. Same for audio work and so on. So that's been good. Processor, I got an AMD Ryzen 7 1700X processor. No idea, but it seems to work well. Power supply unit was a Corsair. That was another size issue, but we got it in there in the end. That's what she said. And got 32 gigabytes of Corsair memory. Of course, I'm only able to use 3 sticks, which is a bit shit, but they're very shiny looking, and again, they seem to be doing the job. Benchmarking, my old Windows 7 setup with a 2GB graphics card and so on, it would take 2 to 3 times as long as a video was to render it. Now it's about a 1-to-1 ratio, or a bit below, depending on the complexity of the video. So that gives you an idea of how much of an improvement there is, and the games are running well. So yeah, I'm still getting used to it. So uploads and work might be a bit patchy for a while, but all things considered, it's a great upgrade. So again, I thank you, and my cat's teeth. Thank you. Zang.